Step into video game land. Welcome to Fine Time.
Hello, party people. It's your boy, Dre. It's my boy, Kevin. He's back from, where were you from last time?
I was in Iceland for the weekend.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
I know that's so close to Canada. Yeah, definitely.
We just go walk on over.
just like when I lived in San Diego, you know, just right over to Tijuana, just right across the border. It's just there.
Hop, skip, and a jump. There you are.
You just wave your passport at the Iceland Mounties.
Hey, I didn't introduce you yet. Steve, you may not speak.
Well, I need no introduction. Everyone's seen me in every episode of the Fine Time Big Deal episodes.
Wow. What are you trying to say? Jeez.
I got nothing. I'm out.
No, we can't. Okay, play the outro music. We're done. Goodbye. Just kidding. We're here. Oh my God. Did we fool you? All right. So I guess we've played video games. We've played a fair number of them. We've watched videos of the games as well. We'll talk about those later. And we're going to start with me and Steve played Another Code Recollection. Let's start here. I said this when it was announced. Shit, what direct was that? The last one? Was that in September? My God, why do they wait so long nowadays? And I said, that is just a great name for a collection, right? Recollection. It's about memories, like Another Code. It's great.
Yeah, about that though. Yeah, it's a great thing to just find that in the store, but Nintendo didn't send any to stores. I pre-ordered my copy on Amazon because I still like to have a case and things sometimes. Well, most of the time. And they didn't send me my copy on Friday or Monday or whatever. And then they're like, oh, they didn't send any copies to anybody anywhere. And I'm like, oh, shit, we're playing this game for the show next time. What the fuck do I do? So I'm going in my car like an animal, driving to stores around here, looking for a copy of Another Code and Recollection. And this is how a lot of my conversations go. Hello, did you? I know it's a long shot, but did you happen to get any copies of Another Code Recollection for Nintendo Switch? We got lots of codes for Nintendo Switch sitting on the wall. What kind of game do you like to play? No, I'm looking for Another Code. Why? You can buy all the codes you want, mister. They're just sitting there on the wall. Play me out. And this,
oh my God.
This went on for many stores, including 3 GameStops. I'm not saying you need to know the entire merchandise, but if I'm telling you the name of a game is Another Code, maybe don't point to the wall of codes that include the Super Mario Odyssey game. And not much else. Eventually, I just went online to Best Buy. They had one. It wasn't even the one that's closer to me. I had to go to the one that was further away. And then that's how I got my Another Code, which I hope the one other guy that was looking at the Switch games when I was picking up the game wasn't looking for the other one copy of Another Code. Sorry, I beat you to it by 5 minutes.
That is something.
Yeah.
What is like the worst? Okay, before we get started on Another Code, this popped in my brain. What is like the worst, like least hype launch you've ever been to? Because mine was definitely Vita. Like by far. Maybe Wii U?
No, the people that wanted Wii U.
DS was like not very. I remember the store I went to, the Game Crazy, rest in peace. I went to, got like 25 DSs and they pre-ordered out like 18 of them. I don't think they sold all the units they had.
I had to work the day the DS came out, so I couldn't tell you how that was.
Yeah, mine was definitely Vita. I think it was just me and Patrick, who has appeared on the show before. We're just like, yay, we're here.
I don't remember PSP being a special. I went with my friend for the PSP launch, and there's this one guy who really went just because GameStop was giving out free Red Bulls. And it was probably a mistake to give this guy our free Red Bulls vouchers because he was in a tank top and very short pants in very, very cold Northeast New York weather. He probably died of hypothermia that night.
No, the Red Bull kept him safe. You saved his life.
I don't know how that works, but he's either really alive or really dead. I really don't know how that... Anyway, another code.
Another code. What is another code Recollection? I guess I'll tell the people, just in case you don't know. Anyone out there remember the early DS game? Speaking of DS, Trace Memory? Anyone ever hear of that? It was an adventure game where you did like the cool thing where you held the DS vertically like a book, you know? And then you did, or was it on that one, or was it only Hotel Dusk? I can't remember now.
What?
Did you hold the DS normal?
No,
on another.
This ball that didn't. I'm sure other ones did it, but they really emphasized the whole hold it sideways like a book. You look really smart that way with your stylus.
Okay.
Like, we're really solving mysteries today. Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Swipe with that stylus.
Write those notes.
But yeah, so you did all the DS things. You did touch puzzles, slide puzzles, blew into the microphone, all that type of shit, right? All the DS stuff. But Trace Memory was only called Trace Memory in North America. Everywhere else in the world, it was called Another Code, Two Memories. And then everywhere else in the world besides us received a sequel for Wii called Another Code R, A Journey into Lost Memories. I'm sure everyone remembers what a fucking dumpster fire Nintendo of America was back then. So it's no wonder we didn't get the Wii sequel here because we didn't get shit back then. But we have it now in remake form for Switch.
Remember 2009? You guys don't want video games. You want Wii Sports Resort and nothing else.
I mean, we did want Wii Sports Resort, but can we have some other stuff, please? Like, Jesus Christ.
So both Another Code games were developed by a company called Sing. I hope that's how it's pronounced.
That's how I always said it.
Yeah. Back in this was, way back in the day. They went out of business after making their last game on DS, and a lot of their staff joined Arc System Works. So when it came time to remake this game, a day no one ever thought was going to come, they just went over to Arc System Works and had them do it.
See, I wonder if that was the case, or if Nintendo just said, hey, we want to remake these games. Who wants to do it? Here's what we're going to pay you. And then Arc System Works jumped on that, probably, maybe. I don't know. Who knows how these business deals go, I guess. Anyway, so the two games, Another Code, Two Memories, and Another Code R, A Journey into Lost Memories, are now one continuous game in Another Code Recollection with consistent art style and gameplay and such. So that's the point of these remakes. But
some real East 1 and 2 shit.
Oh, yeah. What did you think of Trace Memory back in the day, real quick? Because, I thought it was cool. I remember the art style more than I remembered, the game. But that art style was pretty striking, and honestly, it made an impact. So I thought it was cool at the time.
Yeah, like you, I remembered more art than the story, or at least that's what I felt about when I was playing the game. It definitely had me keeping an eye out for more of what Sing was doing over the course of the years. I really love Hotel Dusk and its sequel. And I really kept up with what they were trying to do. I know they made games for other folks too that I never played. Then one day Sing stopped being up to anything because they shut down. Though I'm choosing to believe we'll be seeing more games because they did tuck a number of Easter eggs in the game, and Easter eggs wouldn't lie, right? Right?
No, they've never done that. Remember when Capcom got on stage at whatever that was 10 years ago and said Darkstalkers is not dead with this big font, and then we never got a Darkstalkers game? You remember that? People have never lied before. It's never happened. We never got the Hotel Dusk sequel here either, by the way. That only came out in Japan and Europe as well. So Nintendo of America just fucking hated us. Anyway, let's talk about the graphics and the general presentation of Another Code Recollection, because this is starting with the bad news. I think, Steve, this is easily the worst aspect of the game. So basically, the question I want to pose to you is they wanted to match the original game's key art in a way while kind of keeping it fresh and updating it. And as this fully realized 3D game, whereas the other two games were not. So did they succeed? Let's start with you. What do you think?
Look, I know you're all used to me going, rah, rah, Nintendo, let's go, woohoo. But here I'm going to have to say, yes, they did, but almost to its detriment. I feel like the art's a real mixed bag here. I feel like the character design and some of the set pieces are very stylish and on point, but I made a joke about a bench in the game, in the first game, and you pointed out, like, the splotches that were supposed to be moss on the wall. And there's a lot of weird choices like that where they just they just plop some color into place and call it a day.
I believe I described it as pay no attention to the N64 moss behind the curtain or something like that.
It was a little upsetting, but it's really weird that it's kind of like this, because I feel like the camera is also taking a vacation sometimes, and it just chugs along at a pace so leisurely that even I'm able to sort of count a frame or two.
The camera controls are bad, though, right? It doesn't feel great no matter what sensitivity you turn it to.
I feel like a button that just flips things 90 degrees or so would have, and let me go from there, might have helped. But I don't know. There is no help in this camera.
It was bad. Well, yeah, it does chug because the frame rate does chug sometimes. But yeah, I just thought the camera controls just never, it felt like it had a huge dead zone. So you had to, like, really, if you just wanted to turn it a little, or it's like careening, there's just no in between.
Well, how it worked on the DS was you were, the left screen was you moving stuff around and tapping the menu, and then the top screen was what you were actually seeing. So it sort of functioned better that way. But again, this was always an enviable job to, make this work.
Yeah, as anyone can tell by just butting in on you, it's pretty rough, these graphics. Like, and you could say, well, why does it matter in a game like this? It's just like a DS remake or whatever. And I would argue that it means everything. Because what is an adventure game without presentation? It has to look good. Like, I would argue in any genre that's like kind of light on gameplay, like a Phoenix Wright, or like any sort of visual novel, you've got to be eye-catching. You have to. And this is not really. I understand the texture work to go for that like painterly look is like really hard to get right, as we talked about the moss or whatever, but if it's not done right, it's so bad. I mean, I've talked enough about Babylon's Fall on this show, rest in peace, or rest in piss, maybe. Like, but that tried to go for that, and that was the fucking PS5, and it looked like shit. It's really hard to get that right. I don't know, man. There was portions of the Lost Memories section of the game where, like, there's these large outcroppings of, like, rocks and stuff, like, when you get out of the sewer, that just look straight up unfinished. Like, maybe they ran out of time or money or something like that, and that's the worst looking part of the game. That's not representative of the whole game, but it just stuck out like shit. I'll never make fun of Scarlet and Violet again. Like, my God.
No, they really picked and chose what settings they were going to work on. They were definitely knowing, like, okay, Ashley Mizuki Robbins is only going to be here for about 2 minutes. Just drag and drop shit here because we really need to finish the real set pieces.
Yeah, I get it. You have to pick and choose, but like, yeah, the interiors fare a lot better though. Like inside the mansion, especially, and stuff like that. I thought that stuff looked really good. It's just that the second part of the game where you're not in the mansion, you're mostly outside, and that just doesn't fare nearly as well. But I already mentioned the controls. The camera never felt great. The tilt control stuff, Steve. Again, in an adventure game like this, you have to nail that shit. The physics have to feel right. Like, what you remember the game with the ball where you have to navigate the ball through the maze, like in typical adventure game style? That felt terrible.
I think one of the first puzzles that was dramatically changed from the DS version was one of those. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to tilt my Switch, and like, and then it doesn't come up again for a while. Like, oh, maybe this is just a one-off thing. They realize this is terrible. No, they make you tilt the system some, not like every 2 minutes, but enough. Like, they almost lure you into a false sense of security. Like, we're finally done tilting the system. Hey, bitch, tilt the system.
Nope. Do it some more. But yeah, so that's the bad part, right? Like the graphics and the control doesn't always feel correct, right? But it's not a deal breaker, but that's the worst aspect of the game. But one presentation aspect they did nail is the music. I think the music in this game is pretty fucking good. Easily the best aspect of the presentation. Like the two memories portion of the game, I would almost call it like a collection of JRPG town themes, right? That's kind of what the vibe they're going for. Lots of piano, lots of acoustic guitar. It's mellow, but it's not like melt into the background. Like you notice the music. It's catchy. It does its job. It carries you forward. And then I would say the Journey into Lost Memories, rather, portion of the game mixes in a lot more like pop rock and stuff, which is appropriate considering some of the themes that happen in that game, and a little bit of indie electronica there. You hear like snatches of like Owl City or Postal Service or that kind of indie electronica. It's nice, and it's very late 2000s, so it works. Voice acting, good. Don't really have anything else to say about it, but good.
One weird voice acting quirk. In the second game, there's the guy that's supposed to be the head of the research facility. I felt he was very not Nicolas Cage, like after listening to him for like 5 minutes. Ashley, you and your father and your mother were researching things about the brain. Oh.
I think he just turned him into... Never mind. But yeah, there is one song, though, in this game, Steve, we have to talk about. You go to a campground, you go into a convenience store, and they're playing a song in there.
Lake Juliet, do.
Come where the sky is blue. Something, 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 too. Come one and come all. I think that's what killed me, the come all. Like, you could tell he's like straining to do that in his stupid voice.
Come where green grass grows. Okay, sorry, but
it's awful. If anyone's ever played Shenmue, and like the tomato convenience store song or Bob's Pizzeria, like the cheesy jingles in those games, this is that, but like way worse. Like he's playing it up. Obviously, they did this on purpose, but it's the good kind of terrible. Let's talk about the gameplay a bit, because obviously we're all wondering, how is this original DS game, essentially the first half of the collection, would go to fully translated 3D? Because like in the DS game, it's like top-down 3D, and like you said, it just shows you on the top screen a pre-render of what you're looking at. Now in fully realized 3D, you got to change all the puzzles, which they did, and all that stuff, and use the hardware stuff, like blowing into the microphone and whatever, and touching stuff on the screen. You can't do any of that shit anymore.
Oh no, I don't have to breathe all over my Switch anymore. Astro's Playroom would be so sad. Oh no.
Astro's Playroom is amazing. But basically, and I don't know why I didn't think of this before, and we'll see if you agree, Trace Memory, or aka Another Code 2 Memories, the first part of the game, essentially became a modern indie game. Basically, right? Which is like, that's perfect. That's the perfect translation for this. Like, think of any, like, I don't know, Oxenfree, but less creepy, or like, like any of those type of indie games where you just kind of walk around. I hate the term walking simulator, but some people call it that. And like, solve puzzles and, tell a story. That's what Another Code is now. And that's great. That's the perfect outcome, I think.
Speaking of things they made you do on the DS, I was waiting for the puzzle where I was going to have to put the system to sleep and turn it back on to solve something.
Oh, yeah. Oh, didn't they? Oh, I think in Hotel Dusk, they like make you close it and then open it again. It's like you're stamping something.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember that in Trace Memory, though.
I forgot whether it was there or two, but I'm like, they're going to bring this back somehow. I'm ready. I'm ready.
They did not.
They did not.
They didn't even make your two Joy-Cons like kiss. Like, okay, you're stamping it. Like, boom. Like, yeah.
But what I really wanted to bring this to was back when these guys were singing, I always felt they were trying a bit too hard on the whole vertical book thing. It did have a way of making everything feel bigger physically than they actually were. And that's fine because, these are both of the games packaged together as the singular presentation that it is. I mean, the first game is a lot shorter than I remember it being, probably because I was a college student when the first one came out and I didn't have as much time. So,
yeah, it was like 5-6 hours from what I remembered. Yeah.
But it felt a lot longer when, I'm not playing as long and I'm coming back in, I'm trying to reacquaint myself and I'm trying to figure out what those other scribbles I wrote meant and like, what the fuck are these numbers for? But this is a very neat time capsule, and it's even fairly newcomer friendly, thanks to things like a map where Ashley fills in the pertinent hints for rooms for you, as opposed to the notepad that, like I just said, I had a hard time with in 2005. And they even gray out descriptions of when you look at things for when they stop being pertinent to your searches, so you don't have to keep looking at drawers again and again. It's like, nothing's in here. You can look at something else now. You can also, ask the game what to do if you're one of those people, but no, I wouldn't do that. No, that's silly person talk.
I did it a lot. So as Steve just said, let me explain this feature. If you really want to, you can let the game tell you exactly where to go at all times. You just click the left stick, an arrow will pop up. Hey, go over here. Or if you're in a room and you don't know what to click on, here's a yellow, map thing. Go right here. I didn't really do this in rooms because I wanted to explore them at my own pace instead of saying here's the thing you need. But for navigation, I did it a lot. I was like, just tell me which room to go in next. I don't care. I especially did it a lot in the second half, Journey to Lost Memories, so I guess I'll talk about more in a bit. But I don't know, man. I didn't really feel like bumbling around. It was just one of those games where I just wanted to get to the next puzzle, see the next part of the story, and that's fine. I'm glad that option was there. I don't usually make use of that kind of stuff, but I did this time. So I don't know. I definitely just wanted to keep the game moving. So just as the device in the first game called the DAS, which is basically a DS allegory, in this case, a Switch allegory.
You got
to
it.
be like, here's the thing you use, almost like what is it called in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild? The Sheikah Slate, which is basically a Switch. Same thing in this. It's like an allegory to be like, here's the stuff you do. In the second game, the RAS, the thing you attach to your wrist and it does the hand, that had to have been more Wiimote stuff, right? Wiimote puzzles, which now they don't have in this game because we don't have that.
Yeah, I'm sure that was it. But don't worry, Andre. They sure made you still tilt the system or controller some. Don't so worry. Bad. It's still there. Don't worry. We'll make you tilt stuff. Don't worry. It's still there.
It was terrible. I really wish they wouldn't make me do that, but they did.
Tilt the system, Andre.
I will not.
Tilt the system.
I will never tilt the system.
Ah!
I will never tilt the system. Press X to resist tilting the system. Okay, so I looked up the original Wii version of Another Code R, Journey into Lost Memories, because I just wanted to see it. And I gotta be honest with you. I think the Wii version looks better. Especially in art style. The cell shading is a lot stronger, something we like to do away with nowadays for some misbegotten reason. I don't know why. I honestly, do you agree with that? I really do think it looks better on Wii.
I think the Wii game does have its charms. Though the character textures are very chunky, and I'm I don't miss that at all.
I don't miss that, but I just think as pure art style, I kind of prefer it.
There was a lot of painterly background to bring that element back into it. That felt more at home at being at a part, almost like a Bob Ross situation, with lots of happy little trees in the background, as opposed to whatever the heck that was half the time.
Yep. So let's get down to how we actually felt about these games, because it's clear that we like them, but I definitely liked the two memories portion of the game, the trace memory portion of the game, the first half more than the second half, Journey into Lost Memories. Would you agree with me on that, or no?
Yeah, it's even though it was short, well, maybe because it was short, it was just a tighter experience overall, even though they had to really rebuild that from the ground up.
And I think they did a really good job making it essentially, like I said, a modern indie game. And it's just a nice, tight story. There's not that many characters. It's really simple. There's just a few locations, and it keeps moving forward. I think my problem with the second half is that there's a lot of extraneous stuff. I think they could have lost the entire band subplot completely and the characters that went with it. All I really cared about was, for trying not to spoil here, Michael and then the lab. That's it. I think the rest could have gone.
To give an idea without spoiling, you might recall in a previous creative endeavor, we played a game, Wide Ocean Big Jacket.
Yes.
The Journey into Lost Memories almost felt like that for a time, because there's big chunks of game where we're doing ordinary stuff that has nothing to do with anything we came to do. And it's like, it takes a very long time for the story to get back on track.
Yeah. And it keeps pulling you off track because it's like, hey, come do this with us. No, I kind of want to see the weird clock tower and find some keys, but no, I gotta go do this instead. Like, it drove me crazy. So as soon as we dispensed with all that stuff, I enjoyed the second half of the second half of the game way better. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Overall, I enjoyed them, but honestly, Steve, for the first 4 hours of Journey to Lost Memories, I'm like, I don't know about this fucking game, but it came together. It redeemed itself. So,
and honestly, for all its faults, this package is what it needs to be. It's a set of two stories that a lot of people ignored 20-ish years ago. Fuck, we're old.
Yep.
With a consistent-ish presentation, and play style, remade for hardware that's relevant at the moment. Who's gonna pull out their, I guess you could archive the second game on Dolphin and get your mouse and play on a DS emulator, but that's kind of lame, isn't it?
Yeah. I've never really tried to emulate stuff that does heavy Wiimote stuff or DS stuff, just because I think it's come on, I don't really want to do it that way.
I mean, it's not perfect. The originals weren't perfect, and the reviews from back in the day definitely reflected that. So it was always going to be, weird to expect some sort of magnum opus from any of this. But, if Ace Attorney gets to churn out everything and print the money, I think this deserves a chance. It's a good time for these things right now, I'd say. Go trace a memory.
Yeah, go trace a memory. Go code another. Okay, a couple more things before we shut the fuck up. I couldn't help thinking about how in modern times, if this were made today by a current indie studio, it didn't really have anything to go off of. They were just making a game like this. The two memories portion would absolutely be about a husband and wife team who have a true crime podcast. So they went to Blood Edward Island to see this mansion and see how everyone died or something. And they're recording. Now we're walking down the hallway. I can hear it now. That's absolutely what this game would be.
Hubby's open the drawer. And remember, if you need to open drawers, our podcast today is sponsored by Drawer Opening Lube. Drawer Opening Lube. Open your drawers.
Spray some WD-40 in the door slot. Also, and you had to have thought this too, I never really thought about how Ashley's hair is silver, the main character, until they showed her as a baby and she had silver hair as a baby. But she's a teenage girl in both of these games. So of course, you just think of it as an anime style or whatever. She has silver hair. Who gives a fuck? But then you see the silver hair on a baby. It's oh, that's weird.
There were a handful of silver-haired protagonists floating around in these games at the time, but this was the only one in a realistic setting. So this was really weird, especially since everyone else is, more average human.
Yeah. The people are not super duper anime themselves and superpowers or whatever. They just happen to have some anime ass hair. So, God, I think that's about it.
That's it.
Wasn't there someone else here with us?
I can't recall.
Nope.
Nope. Hey, wake up. Kevin, wake up.
I got the most solid half hour of meditation in right there. I like listening to you guys talk about stuff like that, because a game like this, I remember seeing this on the direct and immediately was like, I would never play this. This is an anti-Kevin game. So I'm not too offended I didn't get invited to the another code party. But it's interesting listening to you guys talk about this, because you have such a vastly different take than I would on something like this.
Don't worry, Kevin. We'll send you the Lake Juliet song. We won't leave you out entirely.
Okay.
Send them the 10 hours extended Camp Juliet, Lake Juliet, whatever it's called. But yeah.
All right. Now you can give me my grand intro.
All right. I want to welcome everyone to Kevin's Super Scope Super Special.
Oh yeah. That was intentionally very early 90s to set the vibe. That's what people said in the early 90s. Go, "Oh yeah." Right?
Yes, that's exactly how we said it. That's exactly how I said it in 5th grade. I remember.
Don't make me out to be a liar. Okay. Yes. So yeah, well, these guys were playing another code. I busted out my Super Scope so we could have a little bit of a palate cleanser after here.
Kevin.
So, Steven.
Know full well that as the Super Nintendo liker, if you say anything bad about the Super Scope, I am taking the next flight to Canada to beat your face in.
Well,
with the Super Scope.
You gotta wait and see. You can't beat me with the Super Scope if I trash the Super Scope.
Yeah, that's. I mean, don't you love the Super Scope more than you love Kevin's face?
What's that going to do? Teach me a lesson about liking the Super Scope when I've got a Super Scope imprint on my forehead?
You'd be too. No, you'd be irredeemable, but it would make me feel better.
Senseless.
You would never. Yeah, you would never do that to the Super Scope. That's
yeah, you're right.
Senseless.
Maybe I'd have to pick up a Menacer at one of your thrift shops or something.
Menacer.
You know everything about Canadian thrift shops, just stacked to the ceiling with Menacers.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm gonna get kicked off with the easy one, Yoshi's Safari. This was not my first go with this, but because I had the Super Scope out of its styrofoam crypt, I decided to give this another run through. This game is very basic. If you haven't played this, it's what you can imagine it is by seeing a single screenshot. You point it at the screen and you shoot the enemies. Don't hold the trigger for too long, because otherwise the gun will run low on energy and your shooting will be very slow. Once in a great while, you got to jump over a gap, and when you get to a boss, they have weak spots. They're not super hard to find, the weak spots. So it's always just kind of this reliable cycle of, painting the weak spots on the boss and then deflecting incoming projectiles.
Do you have to press a button to jump, or does it automatically hop?
Yeah, no. So where you hold on the Super Scope, it's like a bazooka. I've never shot a bazooka, but this is how in my mind bazookas work. So you hold it up, and then next to your head on your right arm, that's where you actually push the button that shoots. You don't have a trigger you hold in front of you like you would with the zapper or something. And then you have a handle on the front of the Super Scope that you hold on to just to be able to tilt it in front of you. And it's got one tiny little button where you'd put your thumb. So in this game, that's the jump button.
Okay.
So they're not necessarily adding a lot of depth to this. This game is so easy, and I would say to its detriment very much. I didn't come remotely close to losing a single life playing this start to finish. There's really not a lot of teeth to it, but it's still fun. This is probably 45 minutes. And I was not sitting there bored because it's too easy. It's enjoyable. It would almost overstay its welcome, but the highlight of this game is hands down the art. It's kind of surreal because you're seeing all of these classic Mario enemies head on. And, they've got much larger sprites than you're used to seeing. So you've got your standard enemies and the real fun. You've got the Koopalings and Bowser and some other, they mix in Magic Koopa as a boss, stuff like that. And they've got mech suits to boot.
Wow.
Which is, I mean, it looks so cool. And this will sound like a criticism, but it's really not. The pixel art seems kind of like off brand. You know how like when you see Mario is missing, you're like, that's not quite right. And it's kind of got that same vibe. And it's just so interesting to look at. So if you really love like kind of the aesthetic of classic Mario, this is very worth playing just for that. Or this would, even if you're not a insane person that has a 200-pound tube TV in their house and a super scope, this would be worth a watch on YouTube, honestly, or even just scrubbing through to see the bosses, because it's so like wild looking that this made the big time.
Now, Kevin, there's a reason why things look a little off, and that's because this was made by Tosei. Oh,
of course it was.
Is that a like confirmed fact? Is that
more or less? Yes,
that rumored. It is. Okay.
If we had a "You Got Tosei" jingle, we'd be playing it in your face right now.
I feel like secret Tosei games could be a good podcast topic, honestly.
Yeah, there's definitely no Tosei branding or anything.
Yeah, they didn't really do that back then.
Time. Right.
Sometimes they didn't really do that at that time. Yeah. No, I've always seen this game in magazines and it looked cool. I'm like, oh, Mode 7 looks like you're riding on Yoshi's back, but I never wanted to get like a bazooka thing to play it. So, yeah.
No, it's really funny because you could shoot Yoshi and he slows down and then he looks at you like, why are you shooting me for, you asshole?
Yeah, and he gets a little Band-Aid on the back of his head, like a little cross-shaped bandage.
It's like, okay.
Well, I mean, that is kind of an interesting mechanic, because as the enemies move closer to you, they can kind of go in front of like where you would see Yoshi's head. So you got to shoot them fast enough so you're not pegging Yoshi in the back of the skull, because you feel bad when that happens. He looks quite visibly disappointed in you.
It's like, I thought we were friends.
So why did I have the Super Scope out? I've been somewhat keeping an eye out for both Battle Clash and Metal Combat Falcon's Revenge for the last few years, so I would have something else to play on my Super Scope, and these turned up over Christmas for me. So I started with Battle Clash. This is the first game. Metal Combat is a direct sequel. And before I played this, I wanted to take the time to actually read the story in the manual. So I downloaded the manual online.
Please do.
I've got to summarize this, because it seems so fucking 90s to me. The story to this game is, it's like, post-apocalypse. Everything is miserable. There's like no happiness in the world, and they're like pretty pushy about it's miserable. But the only source of joy for humanity is giant mech battles, and the winners get super rich and famous. But if you lose a mech battle, you are a low-class citizen and you have to serve the winners. So there's this one fighter, Anubis, and he's risen to world power, and he's got a bunch of generals underneath of him. So you have to eventually get to Anubis, and you have to fight his generals before you can fight him. And he killed your father in a mech battle, so you're seeking vengeance. Eventually, when you get to Anubis, you fight him on his base on the moon. So this is what we're dealing with here.
No lies detected. Keep going, Kevin.
How can you not want to play this?
That's you're right. That's 90s as fuck. I mean, no, you go to the moon to beat. I mean, of course you do. So yeah,
I mean, I was already excited to play this, and then when I read that, it's very endearing. So
that's pretty fucking good.
I was pretty down. So that's what this is. This game is only boss fights. You fight each of these generals, then you fight Anubis. There's not like side enemies on screen at the time. You fight one enemy at a time. Each have different mechanics, and again, you have to find their weaknesses and deflect incoming projectiles, more or less. Timing to shoot when they're vulnerable, kind of thing. So this game is different than Yoshi Safari in the mechanic that, rather than not overusing your turbo all at once, you have to not use it and charge up your shot to do more damage, rather than overusing your shot to do less or slower damage. Mm-hmm. So, and you do have to rapid fire because, to stop the projectiles, you need to be, on your toes. And there's a few special items that you can get. So, bombs, homing missiles, that kind of thing. I think specifically directly compared to Yoshi Safari, it just feels more intentional to charge up the shot rather than just not to overuse it. So I do like that.
Okay.
Aesthetically, looks really cool. They've got, big, interesting sprites. Everything runs, great. It's very fast. If you like parallax scrolling, you will like this game because there's parallax scrolling out the ass, and all the animations are smooth.
And you didn't get that too much on Super Nintendo. We always think of parallax as like a Genesis thing, and it's not that it didn't happen on Super Nintendo. It's just the processor speed was only so much. But to be able to pull that off like that, I guess, is super cool.
Yeah, it's definitely, but I mean, like that's kind of like the thing this game does. There's not like a lot of like nuance to, it's not like a wide swath that this game is trying to take on. So that's what it does, and it does it well.
Yeah.
The game is short. You can probably go through this in about 30 to 40 minutes, and it's not as easy as Yoshi's Safari, but it is very easy. You get unlimited retries for each boss, and you probably are not going to really struggle with any of them. The first time I died was at the final boss. So it's not
Okay.
it's not especially tricky, but again, a very good way to spend 30 to 40 minutes. Moving on to Metal Combat, this is basically more of the same. The enemies are a little bit more varied. There's kind of some more interesting designs to both them and the levels that you're in. Mechanically, so now rather than just charging up your one shot, you can charge that shot up to like 3 levels of charge if you're not shooting for a time. So you just kind of have to like risk reward how long you want to charge that up. Story-wise, now we're going further into space and going to other planets. But other than that, this is, if you like Battle Clash, again, this is more of the same. This one is definitely much harder. Especially by the end, this gets. I would imagine that they probably took a little bit of flack for how easy Battle Clash was, and you can tell they purposefully ramped it up. Even early, I would say maybe the second boss in this game is probably as tricky as anything as you would find in Battle Clash.
I think I think they overcorrected maybe because they probably was like, oh, people don't know how to use a super scope, and let's make it easy so we could. And it's like, wait a second, let's just make a nice difficult game here.
Yeah. And they definitely, it gets. Steve, you were talking about this. Have you Metal Combat? Do you have any comments on the difficulty near the end?
There's actually multiple endings, and getting the good one is where it gets really hard. But what I was going to say to you is that both Battle Clash and Metal Combat, and Yoshi Safari for that matter, all have hard modes you can punch in. And Yoshi Safari doesn't really get that much harder, but it's been years since I played. But I remember Battle Clash and Metal Combat really kicking your ass real hard on the hard modes. It's also been years, and my TV might have been weird, and who can say? But
these are made by Intelligent Systems, right, Steve? Metal Combat,
Battle Clash and Metal Combat are by Intelligent Systems. Yes.
Yeah, and also Metal Combat: Falcon's Revenge only came out here. It never came out anywhere else, which is weird. And maybe maybe the Super Scope was doing better here or something like that. I don't know, but also. I remember Vin way back in the day when we first started talking, he made this discovery back when, how back then websites, it's just like Nintendo's especially be like, here's all our first party games. Click on them to go to their individual websites or information or whatever. On the Japanese ones, Metal Combat at some point was listed there. It was listed under another name. Or so we think. But then it actually didn't come out. So it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed when I got the Super Scope out on the back, it shows Yoshi Safari, Battle Clash, and then Battle Clash 2. So that's definitely what they were working under until, when they were print. And so this is a later Super Scope that I have as well, because it doesn't come with the Super Scope 6 cart or whatever. It just has the hardware in it. So but so this would have came out around 94, because I think that's when Metal Combat came out. But, that must have been a fairly last minute change. Either way, both those games are excellent for short bursts. You're not going to get a ton of mileage out of these, and that's exactly what I want for something that I have to hold a large fucking gun up and squint out of one eye for. I don't want to be playing these games for 6 hours. Battle Clash and Metal Combat, I would say, are hands down both better games than Yoshi's Safari. And you know what's so fucking cool about these? Both those games are cheap. I paid $5 for each of these, and that's pretty close to the going rate. And it's wild to me to have good and not super common, not rare or hard to find, but it's not like everybody had these Super Nintendo carts that aren't $1 billion. So that's kind of one of the benefits, I guess, of having games for something that does require a CRT TV. I just think there's probably not much demand for these. But if you have a Super Scope and a Tube TV and you don't have these, absolutely track them down or get them on eBay, because they're very, very worth the low price of admission.
Yeah, I think like a lot of the PS1 or PS2 like Namco GunCon stuff, whether it's like Point Blank or like what's it called, Vampire Knight. You guys remember that one? Or Time Crisis or whatever. I don't think that stuff is very expensive. Like, it was expensive at the time. I remember paying like, full price for all those games. I had a GunCon too, but man, I played a lot of Point Blank at home. But yeah, I think that kind of like CRT only stuff is not that expensive in general.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, and I don't blame. I would not, unless you really want to have a CRT TV. I would not recommend getting one.
No, unless you really give that kind of a shit. Okay, we need to take a break, because when we come back, I'm sorry, but we're gonna talk about PalWorld. We have to. Be right back. We are back. We are your pals of the world. We are going to talk about PalWorld because we have to, okay? I didn't really want to, but we gotta, right? I'm sorry.
We're your pals of the world. That's the best we can do.
No, it's not the best we could do, but it's the best I could do in 2 seconds coming back on the air, thinking off the top of my head. Now, if I had actually scripted this out, I would have came up with something better, but I did not. I'm sorry. What do you got? Okay, what do you got, smartass? Pals of the world? What do you got?
You're the de facto host. This is not my job.
Okay, well then don't dunk on my...
You need to make us look good so we can get rich and famous, okay?
Oh my God. Okay, fine. Sorry if it's not good enough for you. Jesus Christ.
We're not going to get the ball raiser sponsor with "We're your pals of the world."
Oh, we will. You hear these other podcasts out here with sponsors? Come on.
We're your balls of the world.
Balls of the world. Ball world. So let's start at the beginning, because we've been around long enough that we remember when PalWorld was announced at Summer Games Fest last year. It was shown. Jeff got up on that stage and called it Pokemon with guns. This will be important later, but let's start there. Do you guys remember your impressions last year of PalWorld, Steve?
Andre, this looks like a game. This looked like a game that fell off a truck and was being sold off a card table. Just mashed together from elements of things that the kids like, and just kind of meant to disappear when the fuzz got too close.
Well, it's here, Kevin.
I mean, given what we're going to talk about later, I'm not entirely wrong.
No, you're not entirely wrong.
Yeah, I'm with Steve. I didn't think we would even hear about this when it came out. Maybe it would hit Game Pass and we'd see a tweet, and I never thought that this would like hit my consciousness ever again. I didn't realize at that time, now we know how with seeing direct comparisons how heavy the similarities between actual Pokemon characters are. I definitely didn't realize that at that point. I thought it was more of just a ripoff of the concept of having like monsters that you put in a ball and and then like make them make guns in a factory or whatever,
well, that would have been more interesting than what this game actually is. But yeah, I remember just being taken with the idea of like violent Pokemon. I just thought it was such a stupid idea that I wanted to try it. Like, sure, there were some obvious Pokemon ripoffs, but all those critters kind of look the same to me anyway, famously, because we play a fucking quiz game about it here often. So, little did I know.
Yeah, well, flash forward to now. It came out in early access last week and went insanely viral. The sales figures exploded into the millions immediately. Jeff Keighley and Wario64 mass tweeted about it, as if they were getting paid to do so. So how did that happen?
I don't know. It was Steve. Like, I don't understand the Wario64 thing, but Jeff is getting paid, right? For sure.
Jeff's getting fucking paid. That's how we saw PalWorld in the first place. There is some kind of interest group or whatever propping these guys up, whatever their name is. I forget right now.
Embracer 2.
Yeah, Embracer 2, we'll call them. They're propping up this smaller dev and just flinging cash at the right places so as to draw more attention and more cash. Jeff doesn't believe in the poker men with guns at all. He believes in attention. And right now, this shit is oozing attention.
It sure is, man. This is crazy. I don't know how this went so viral. Kevin, did like everyone see that last year and be like, oh man, I got to put that on my Steam wish list or whatever? Like, I just don't know how like this happened overnight. Like, did it? I don't know, man.
Yeah, not only that, I didn't feel like it set the world on fire when it was announced, but I also sure hadn't heard a fucking peep about it, in the weaker days leading up to release. When I heard about PalWorld again, it was because, millions of people were downloading it. Did you guys hear anybody talking about this in the weeks before early access? Because I sure didn't.
No, not at all. It's so fucking weird, man. It feels like it came out of nowhere. Like, honestly, if we didn't see that Summer Games Fest and we didn't talk about it, it'd be like, what the fuck is this game? At least like things that came out of nowhere, like PUBG or whatever, had some pedigree because that guy made mods before for other games or whatever. So it's like, oh, that modding guy is making his own game. Like, I understand how that could happen, but this just, it's fucking weird, man.
Yeah.
So John Linneman of Digital Foundry, he tweeted that he tried out the game for like an hour and was having fun just goofing off and just killing random people or whatever. And a lot of people got up his ass about it. It's like, oh, you're not playing the game right, John. And he's like, I fucking hate survival games, so I was making it fun for myself. So who cares? That's right. I said survival game because that's what PalWorld actually is. It's not actually Pokemon with guns at all. It's a base building, it's like Ark. You know what I mean? It is literally a survival game of that type, only you just have a few critters that you get to like help you out sometimes. That's PalWorld. So John Linneman linked to the original trailer and said this trailer is not representative of the gameplay, and that a lot of people were arguing about that, saying like, well, what trailer is or whatever, or it's just CG or whatever. But he's like, but it doesn't like it's showing Pokemon with guns. This is not what the game is, and that's where the rub comes in. Cause like I said earlier, Jeff did literally get up on stage last year and call it that. And so I don't know, man. I guess what I'm trying to say is, was that trailer actually misleading? Even though it's mostly CG, I personally, Kevin, feel like what we saw there is not actually what the game is. There's no like sense of like, this is going to be like Ark at all.
Yeah, but I don't think I didn't really get a sense of gameplay to begin with, and I went back and rewatched the trailer just for this discussion, and to me all of the emphasis was just literally on the concept of Pokemon with guns. I didn't feel like it did or didn't imply that this is about like, exploring a world and catching these characters and like anything like that. So I'm maybe a little bit more agnostic about it.
Yeah, Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Kevin here. The trailer from a year ago, I mean, in addition to what I said earlier, it felt like a fake game trailer that popped up on YouTube. Like, the ones where they're like, here's Mario, wink, but the game's not going to be anything like that. You know the ones if you watch enough YouTube videos. I really don't know what everyone expected, but it honestly didn't look like any real video game that has ever existed or ever will exist. Like it's almost like a video game that's in a movie. Let's play PalWorld.
I think I'm with John on this one because I don't think you should have a trailer like that and then I don't know a good way to say it. Like, okay, you know how like some things say features, like a lot of things say like, okay, Fallout New Vegas. I'm sure if you go back to the original like shit, it might say survive in this post-apocalyptic world. Yeah, it might say something like that, but it's not a survival game, right? It's not a don't starve or something, right? It's Fallout, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like this is misleading. I would have tried it if it were actually Pokemon with guns, but it's just not. And I'm surprised that, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people bought that based on that trailer thinking it was going to be that, and they got something else.
To be fair as well, I think maybe it was less the trailer and more because the phrase has always been Pokemon with guns. And so, maybe just all of that phrasing that was getting passed around at that time, is just implying gameplay of Pokemon with guns as opposed to just concept of these characters having guns, gameplay removed.
I mean, that's reasonable. I can't argue with that. I guess that's true. If I were really for some reason looking forward to this game, God forbid, and I got what I got, I would have been pissed. I guess is all I'm really trying to say here.
Yeah. Okay. So after this started getting big, everybody was, tweeting, "Hey, Nintendo, you up?" You guys seeing this shit? So the Pokemon Company did release a statement about PalWorld, and it reads as follows: "We have received many inquiries regarding another company's game released in January 2024. We have not granted any permission for the use of Pokemon intellectual property or assets in that game. We intend to investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to the Pokemon. We will continue to cherish and nurture each and every Pokemon and its world and work to bring the world together through Pokemon in the future." Okay.
Okay. Look, first of all, them not even mentioning PalWorld by name is a fucking boss move. That is great. Regarding, I think the header was inquiries regarding other people's games or other companies' games is what it was. Holy shit. That's power. That's like, you are so insignificant to us that you should be grateful for even acknowledging your stupid shit in a press release. Okay. Like, you got your press release. But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty wild considering, Steve, they don't typically acknowledge any of the other ripoffs, just this one.
It's probably got something to do with them actually ripping stuff off. I wouldn't call it a field day because we're not too happy about it, but over in our Poke Pals Discord, we've been really looking at some of these pals, and it's not just heavily inspired by Pokemon. It's a lot of, we really did trace a lot of these Pokemon and change the color, or we took a tail here and a fin there, and we used Photoshop to change the sizes, and oh, look, it's a new pal. A whole new original creation, totally made by us. Yup. And it's gross. It is kind of bad.
Can I present an alternative theory as to why they didn't name the game? perhaps the Pokemon Company was coordinating with Nintendo and they drafted this up and they said, we've received many inquiries regarding PalWorld, and Nintendo came back and they're like, yeah, that's fine, but you need to say we've received many inquiries regarding the PalWorld game. And then the Pokemon Company was like, no, we're not fucking doing that. Maybe that's
why. we refuse to say the new Pokemon Snap game, okay? We're not going to say the PalWorld game. I think Kit and Krista on their podcast recently had a thing about that because someone asked them that, and I think they said because people are starting to notice, like, finally, because so I think in a group I'm in on Twitter, they're like, oh man, they keep saying this stuff the last couple years, the X game, and I'm like, dog, they've been doing this since the Switch started, and I went back to like something way in the future. I was like, oh my god, yeah, they've been doing this forever. Kit and Krista said that like, it's like a copyright protection thing against like genericism. Cause like Nintendo was becoming like synonymous with like video game. Everything was a Nintendo, right? And they were trying so hard to push back against that. And they finally did once they got some competition. But yeah, they said it's like a copyright thing. You have to say, cause like, how like only Nintendo, you notice at in their credits, they say game, scenario, music, and whatever, all copyright Nintendo. Nobody else does that. There's specific language for a reason, I guess. So it's just one of those things.
What does that protect specifically? Do you know?
I think it's so nobody can say, well, is the music part of the game, or is this story part of the game, or is it just the gameplay as part of the game? So there's no arguments like that. So if they say those things, so if they refer to if you say it's a game, if you say the Pikmin 4 game.
All things contained within it.
Yeah, all things contained within, not just like Pikmin 4, the entity, the Pikmin 4 game.
I'd like to learn more about that. And because I in my mind, I just question if that actually holds water, if they just feel like they can use that as justification to be litigious, but...
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if it would actually hold any water. I don't think maybe it hasn't like been tested yet, but I would say Steve, since like GameCube, they've been doing the game scenario, music, and whatever. Easily. I think. Easily, I don't remember that in the Super Nintendo era, but
I definitely don't remember it that far
or
back.
In
or
64.
Even N64.
Yeah.
I hope I'm saying this right. LG Lizard on Twitter has a very nicely organized thread on why the fuck, if you were an investor with giant sacks of money to invest in video games, you probably shouldn't throw it at these guys.
These guys are Pocket Pair, I think. Yes.
That's right. Sorry. Pocket Pair. It starts with a look at the CEO who seems unhealthily obsessed with AI, like almost like he's fucking it. Like a few ones where it translates to, why, if I look at these two images together, it doesn't even look like a AI generated image. We've come so far along.
AI Stockholm syndrome.
Clearly. And this is followed by Craftopia, a game that totally isn't Breath of the Wild, is unfinished, and even has a good chunk of its mechanics moved along to PalWorld. Then Pocket Pair takes a little break to start work on another game they haven't finished called Nevergrave, a game that totally isn't Hollow Knight. Like, it is not even... I'm not a fan of the game, obviously, but guys, there is no shame in this at all. There is a pattern here, and it's not just in them, getting inspired everywhere they go.
I just... So there's two things here for me. One, their track record. Look at their other previous games that they haven't finished that are still in early access. I think that one you mentioned, Craftopia, is from 2020.
And it's still in early access.
And it always will be, probably. And quite frankly, probably so will always be PalWorld. And then, so there's that. If you really think, this game is a shit, well, look at their track record. Number two, I think the people being like, there's no evidence that AI is in PalWorld or whatever, that's such a disingenuous thing to say. It's completely missing the point on purpose. Because they would never give anything else that kind of benefit of the doubt, I think. Like, if a serial killer moves into your neighborhood, you wouldn't say, well, there's no evidence he killed anyone in this town, right? You would be like, yo, this dude is a fucking serial killer. Right? So their boss going on and on about AI this and AI that to just sit there and say, oh, well, we don't know if it's in the game. Well, you know, fucking what? Who cares? Like, why do you want to like support something who doesn't support artists anyway? Whether or not PalWorld actually uses AI is like not the point, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I fully agree. It's whether a person sat down and did that, they fucking ripped it off regardless. It's such a funny concept to me as well to like be a PalWorld stan right out the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is driving you towards that?
Yeah, it's so people are so invested of defending this shit, and it's like I don't know, Steve.
No, the human artists didn't steal the art. The robots did. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, certainly. Absolutely.
Oh,
okay.
God.
So before we shut the fuck up about PalWorld, there's one more thing. I need something from you, Steve, okay? Because, like we just said, there's a bunch of stands. The PalWorld stands, they're like out there. They're holding this over Pokemon in a weird way that doesn't make any sense because it's not the same genre. It's nothing like Pokemon. But they're all out here being like, the success of PalWorld is going to have Nintendo quaking in their boots and shit. And this is going to light a fire under Game Freak's ass and shit like that, as if they have anything to be scared of. So you, Steve, please light the children on fire.
Yeah, we're going to have our follow-up show, me and the Poke Pals, on 1 year-ish of Pokemon Scarlet Violet time, and we weren't all that pleased on what Game Freak's done, and something does need to light a fire under their ass. But as we gone over in our Scarlet Violet show, it's not fucking easy. You don't just walk in and out Pokemon. Like, you don't just fucking do that. Otherwise, Dragon Quest would have did that years ago with monsters. And it's doubly not going to be these guys that are photoshopping and AIing actual Pokemon attributes into these Frankenstein abominations that skirt trademark law. And it's triply not going to be these guys when they, abandon the project, disappear with the money gathered in early access, and then reappear a few years later with a new game that isn't PalWorld because, when you don't have to actually finish a game or make any assets yourself, the sky's the limit. You can make any fucking game you want, apparently.
With no repercussion, apparently. Just keep putting out early access shit. Like, what I'm also noticing, I'm sure you guys have noticed this too, is like just a lot of the fragile masculinity shit, like holding this up, like this is Pokemon for men or whatever. Like Pokemon is for kids. This is Pokemon for big boys. Right? Or not that kitty shit. And it's like, dog, it's still fucking critters on I don't know, like, why is this like more like mature than Pokemon? Like, get the fuck over yourself. Like, that is insane. I don't know. I'm sure you guys have seen that, Kevin.
Yeah, I need a little bit of feedback as well, because I don't even understand the theory behind this, like pushing some sort of incentive at Game Freak, because that would make a lot more sense to me if it was something that emulated Pokemon's gameplay, right? But just simply ripping off character designs and plugging it into a different kind of gameplay, I don't see how that incentivizes anything other than just legal action. And I guess that's what I took out of a lot of the, the tweets that I was seeing. It was like, well, this is going to force Nintendo to or force Game Freak to make better games, better Pokemon games. But how? I don't even understand the logic behind that argument.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me either, honestly. So
it's not Pocket Pair. It's definitely not going to be Pocket Pair.
No.
Now, Pocket Pair is a pretty good name, though. I'm just saying, it's not the worst name for a company.
It ain't bad.
There's some good jokes you can come out of Pocket Pair.
Yeah, pair of these nuts. Yeah, I don't like that it's one word though. It should be two, like intercaps, 2 words. I think Pocket Pair. Yeah,
they should also make a real video game. Wait, what?
I gotta let you guys know as a brief sidebar because D's nuts came up. My son Matthew, my son Matthew. He's known it for a while, but he's really like, you know how like your mom jokes were like really big in the like late 2000s. Like he's treating D's nuts jokes like your mom jokes was around that time. And he's like any chance he gets, you know, he's like say any phrase around him and he's busting out of D's nuts. I just thought you guys should know that because I thought you'd appreciate it.
Yeah, look, that's good. We've evolved from yo mama jokes to D's nuts. I think that's definitely playground fodder. Anyone have a favorite your mama joke? Because I don't remember really any of them. I used to have a whole bunch to rattle off, and now I don't.
I did too, but yeah, they're gone. Like your mama.
See, by the time that it was never when that was a thing around my time, I don't think it was as much as like a pre-scripted joke as just like staying on the ball, like when somebody says something to find an opportune way to be like your mom does that thing.
Yeah, but it was always like their figure, right? Your mama's so fat that X, your mama's so skinny that Y. You know, I think
that was when you were in high school, man. That I was too little to even understand the concept of your mama joke at that time.
Yeah, there was there used to be, Jesus Christ, there's a billion. I bet there's I'm sure there's some website from 1997 that still has like 200 yo mama jokes. All right, guys, I got some exciting news before the next break. I got to tell you. So Bandai Namco recently had this trailer for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and the first 24 fighters have been revealed for this game. You guys want to hear who's in the game?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, come on.
All right, here we go. The fighters include Goku Dragon Ball Z Early, Goku Dragon Ball Z Mid, Goku Dragon Ball Z Mid Super Saiyan, Goku Z End, Goku Z End Super Saiyan, Goku Z End Super Saiyan 2, Goku Z End Super Saiyan 3, Goku Super, Goku Z Mid Super Saiyan, Goku Super Super Saiyan God, Goku from Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z with the Scouter, Great Ape Vegeta, Vegeta Dragon Ball Z Early, Vegeta Dragon Ball Z Early Super Saiyan, Super Vegeta, Vegeta Z End, Vegeta Z End Super Saiyan, Vegeta Z End Super Saiyan 2, Majin Vegeta, Vegeta Super Saiyan, Vegeta Super Saiyan God, and Vegeta Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan.
Wow.
Andre,
That's
I don't
amazing.
want to piss on this very exciting news topic, but I feel like some of these could have just been costumes for other characters.
Don't be silly. We can't be doing that. We'll be right back.
Fine time.
We are back and we are ready to talk state of play. And this one has been pretty interesting. I really like this one. Can we start there, guys? Because, sometimes we come on here and it's like, I didn't care about this. Cool trailer for X, Y, or Z, I guess. Oh, well, moving on. But this one I think is kind of meaty, Steve.
Yeah, there's a bunch of good games on here, and I didn't even skip through most of them this time.
Wow.
Not too much VR filler. This was just what it needed to be today.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton of stuff that I'm looking forward to playing on here necessarily, but it was definitely one of the more engaging ones that was well-rounded. I think it was a better watch for state of play than they usually are by far.
I think it's good that they went long on stuff. It was 40 minutes, but there wasn't actually that many games. Versus like Nintendo Direct, they might throw a lot of quick ones at you where that works for that because they have the panache. Here, I'm glad they went long on stuff, so it works out for better for Sony. Maybe it's a better format. But they started with a little thing called Stellar Blade. And longtime listeners of the show will know that I've been hot on this fucking game since the initial PS5 reveal during lockdown when it was called Project Eve. I have been hot on this shit. And I think it was 2022 when they last showed the game and then told us that the name was now Stellar Blade. And we hadn't seen it since. And I was starting to get worried because it missed out on the last several state of plays. But here it is again. And it's coming out in April? Yo, holy shit. Look, for me, this game has it all. All the tropes are here. Post-apocalyptic, cyberpunk, Asian city, sexy lady in a skin-tight costume chopping up aliens and shit. You got some light exploration, but not too much, right? You got some fake-ass military operations they belong to. This is everything I want, Steve. Please, for the love of fucking God, be good. Please don't suck, Stellar Blade.
Yeah, this and Rise of Ronin were announced a while ago, and they both look great for their time in development, but I probably won't pounce on either one of these right out the gate just because the release timing is the worst on my end for personal reasons. But one thing I want to point out about Stellar Blade, I felt like the voiceover, the trailer, no one quite looked at more than once. It felt a little weird, maybe because it is they did play this one long and it needed to be long, frankly, because of the time in between, but there were a handful of times where I'm trying to think. Okay, there's the one part where she's going up to the one guy. Please save my daughter. She's lost in the wasteland, and you'll need to find baddies in the wasteland. Like, really? Do I? Maybe if my watching comprehension is that bad that I can't tell that's what's happening, maybe Stellar Blade isn't the game for you. I don't know.
I don't think the dialogue, I don't think they're really trying to like match the dialogue with the overall narrator. I just think that he just happened to say that. And then she's like, oh, you can do this as well. I think it was just kind of coincidental.
I don't know. It just felt weird.
I don't know. I thought it was fine. Kevin, how many copies of Stellar Blade are you getting me for my birthday?
You know what? When I was watching this, I was thinking about you this whole trailer because you're right. This like screams Andre game. So
oh my God, it's so
I will commit to 4 copies, and Steve already DM'd me and he said he'll match my 4 copies. So you can look forward to 8.
Okay, thank you. Do you like how early on, like when they first showed her, like Eve was basically just wearing a hoodie over her tits? It's like it's so cold out here, and she just has this little zip up hoodie on her like really small top torso, and it have these like Bayonetta ass legs. I don't know. I mean, look, you can't cover up all the goods. I understand it's a trailer, but you know,
it was very Battle Arena Toshinden at the orphanage. We're wearing the hoodie and
oh my God, we can't talk about that right now. We need to talk about Sonic and Shadow Generations, because what the fuck is this? What the fuck was this? Because at first I thought it was Sonic Superstars DLC. Okay, they're adding Shadow. But then they started like showing the Shadow stages, and I was like, oh no, these are 3D stages. These are like Sonic Adventure style. What the hell? And then I realized it was just Sonic Generations now featuring Shadow the Hedgehog from the Devil May Cry series. So like, is this like just a remake now just with Shadow levels? Okay, I guess. I've never really liked Sonic Generations that much to begin with, so I don't know. Maybe if it's cheap, maybe if it's just $40, I'll give it another shot, Steve, but I'm not super excited here.
Yeah, you remember a while ago, back when we were talking about the Super Mario Wonder game, where I said, you know, I feel like it would have been the easiest thing in the world for Nintendo to just call up Tosei and have him make the Super Mario Brothers the movie, the game, and they didn't. I feel like that's kind of what's happening here. They're kind of just slapping together a Sonic port, and they're grafting in Shadow because he's going to be in the Sonic 3 movie coming out this year. Because why else?
Is that confirmed? He's going to be in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, the movie?
Everyone seems pretty sure.
Really? Okay. I mean, why not? That's probably the next frontier, right? To start adding like Sonic Adventure era characters into it.
It's time for. Besides, it's got to be PG-13 anyway. Where's that damn Chaos Emerald?
Well, I don't know. Shadow the Hedgehog was E10. They did get away with like him and Espio for some reason saying damn. I don't know why they made Espio say damn, but they did. Yeah, but look, I'm a fucking Sonic mark. Everyone knows it. I guess I'll probably do it. Jesus Christ.
They're preying on you specifically with this.
They are, man. If that how they can get me if it runs like 120 on PS5 or something. It's like fucking assholes. Fine.
You really think this is gonna run 120?
I mean, look at it. It better run 120. Jesus Christ. That's kind of why I want to try Prince of Persia. It runs 120 on PS5. I kind of want to see that in action. It might be so nice. Yeah, it's got to be so silky smooth, huh? And then they showed Silent Hill: The Short Message, which I guess is out right now. That's their big shadow drop for this. And I loaded it on the system. Haven't tried it yet. Don't have much to say. Trailer looked cool for a freebie, so I'm into it.
Yeah, I'm hoping I get to play it soon, too. It certainly looked better than our update on the Silent Hill 2 remake that when Konami had their Silent Hill Direct last year, or however long ago that was.
That was a while ago now, yeah.
I know, but this look at it felt way more action-oriented than it should. I get that stalking around in the dark doesn't make for an exciting trailer, but I don't know. Alone in the Dark's coming real soon, and I feel like they nailed that. I don't know. I don't know about Silent Hill 2, but
I don't think you're afraid of Alone in the Dark. Are they? I mean, I don't. Maybe.
Not that they're afraid of it, but I mean, I feel like Alone in the Dark more understands the assignment of let's just be creepy survival horror more than Silent Hill 2 does. I don't know.
Have you? I mean, I'm sorry. Have you played Silent Hill 2? I mean, it just. It's been
some time. Was it that much shooting? I guess it was.
I mean, no, it wasn't that much shooting, but I mean, it definitely. I don't know. Well, they did actually show.
There was a lot of shooting in the face for 15 seconds, and I don't remember it. It's been years.
They did show a trailer for the Silent Hill 2, and I was surprised they didn't show a date. They didn't even just show a generic 2024, which makes me think it's not this year at all. So, man, I hope we can see that soon. Anyway, I'm sure both of us will try this Silent Hill: The Short Message. Kevin, do you even have any interest in this kind of like first-person horror thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad for the people who want to play this. I probably won't play it for the low price of free.
What does this do for you? What does that not do for you, rather, that like Dead Space does? Like, what's the difference for you?
I don't know. I've never, like, in general, horror, probably the lack of sci-fi maybe for one, but in general, like horror games, they don't make me uncomfortable. I just, I don't get too scared when I'm playing horror games. I just don't get a lot out of it, I guess, for some reason. And a lot of times too, I find the gameplay probably a little bit frustrating. Usually there's usually kind of got to be some aspect of stealth or like panicked running. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it feels a little like too unintentional. I don't know. I don't have anything against it. It's just not quite up my alley.
I don't like when it's like scripted, like, oh, this thing you can't kill is chasing you. But even that can be okay if it's done right. Like the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, right? I think is done well. Mm-hmm. There's sections in Resident Evil 2 when you play as Claire where this kind of unkillable thing is following you around. But it's like you can ditch it for like several rooms, right? So, but like, yeah, the hiding part I don't like. That's why I don't like Alien Isolation. I don't like the hide and seek stuff. That shit is annoying.
Let me give a better example too. I'm not into like traditional horror movies that much, but I love like The Hills Have Eyes. So even when we're talking about Dead Space, right? Like there's an element of morbidity. I like that. Like explicit gore. I like that. But just like trying to be scary it just doesn't like scratch my brain.
Right. I get you. That's totally fair. But yeah, so Steve, they show this thing called Judas, which I guess is made by former BioShock people. And gee, can you fucking tell?
I only played the first two. I know I still need to play Infinite. It's sitting right there. But I got my eyebrow raised when they said, from the creator of BioShock. And guys, it's fucking BioShock. It's more fucking BioShock in all but name. And I can't wait. They didn't have a date on this either, but just give me the fucking BioShock. The not BioShock.
I've never played a BioShock, and I'm going to tell you, I'm cheating on you right now. I found a partner to play the BioShock trilogy with. Since you already played them, I
only played two of them.
only. Okay. Well, I've never played any of them, so we're both BioShock versions. So you can be a slut and play BioShock Infinite all on your lonesome. I have someone else to fuck with.
How could you?
Am I crazy though, or did Judas look a little loot shootery? Like, I didn't see all the telltale signs of like guns with a bunch of stats or whatever, but it definitely had that. I felt a little like Borderlandsy when I saw the action. Maybe I'm just imagining things.
I don't know. I was more focused on the whole, oh my God, we got guns and things shooting out of my hands. This is BioShock.
I don't really have a whole lot to say about Dragon's Dogma 2, just because I never really liked the first one, so I'm not really looking forward to the second one. But they showed it on the State of Play, and I'm like, is it just me, or are these graphics really just not that good? Like, RE Engine put out some very capable stuff last year, even the cross-gen stuff like Street Fighter 6 and Exoprimal and like Resident Evil 4, all those look crazy good. Dragon's Dogma 2 really doesn't, at least to me. They've also only shown it running at 30 frames a second, which is real concerning considering it doesn't even look close to other games that target 30 on current consoles. Like, look at like a Plague's Tale Requiem or like Starfield even. Okay, I think those games look way better than like this. And I'm not even going to get into the ones that run 60 and that are like open world-ish, like Forbidden West or something. I think looks way better than what we just saw here. So like, I don't know, look, maybe this is perfectly fine with Dragon's Dogma fans, and it probably is because they're used to settling for less, but I'll shut up before I get too rude. But like, yeah, I don't know. Am I crazy? Is this, Kevin, does this not look that good? Or
I was surprised you poo-pooed this because, to be honest, for out of anything in this State of Play that stuck out, this was it for me. And I haven't really paid a lot of attention to this for now. I haven't played the original Dragon's Dogma, but this trailer definitely piqued my interest. Not from the perspective that I was like, oh, we're going to be talking about graphics on PlayStation 5 with this, but artistically, I don't know. It looked like it plays fun. I liked the artistic direction. I was surprised to go through the notes and see that this was the one you're like, I don't really like this, because this was probably the highlight of the show for me.
Wow. Okay. Maybe I'm off base, Steve.
Okay. Well, I have played Dragon's Dogma for about 10, 15 hours on Switch before I was like, what's the point of this? There's a lot of busy work in Dragon's Dogma. Like, and everyone's coming back to me, well, it's like single player Monster Hunter. I'm like, that's awful. That's fucking. I don't want to play single player Monster Hunter. And if I am playing Monster Hunter by myself, I'd rather just grind for materials in Monster Hunter for when I play next time multiplayer. I don't want to play this bullshit. So I can't say I'm especially enthused for Dragon's Dogma 2 either.
two or either. I don't know, man. I don't know anybody who's ever been into it. I belong to one Discord where I put it out there. It's like, I don't know, did people just pretend to like Dragon's Dogma? And I got back a lot of feedback. No, we love Dragon's Dogma. Okay, fine. You guys are the first people to ever tell me so. So I don't know. Maybe it's just the circles I run in, or maybe
Dragon's Dogma picked me up from soccer practice once, so now it's my best friend.
Dragon Dogma had to walk uphill both ways to school, like there and back.
I think at the least it'll be interesting to see where reviews for this go.
Yeah, and look, it's not done yet. Maybe it'll get cleaned up. Maybe it'll look better, but I don't know. What? What the hell's so funny?
No, I just feel like it's been being made for years now. So it's like,
I mean,
no,
maybe
it's not done yet.
Look, a lot of optimization happens at the end, right? Okay, I'm not gonna be too harsh. I will be harsh on myself that I waited so long to play Until Dawn that there's now going to be a PS5 version. So now I have no more excuses.
No more fucking excuses, Andre. Play Until Dawn when you get graphics on PlayStation 5.
I will. I'll play with graphics on PlayStation 5. Jeez.
It came with the PS5 and that set of games on PS4, and I played it one Halloween. I didn't talk about it here because it's very story heavy, obviously. I fucking love that game. It's great.
I'll give it a shot. I've always wanted to, but I've been saying that since like 2015 or whatever it came out. So, okay, we got to talk about Death Stranding 2. Excuse me, Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Because this was a doozy. Man, Hideo Kojima unfiltered, everybody. Just doing whatever the motherfuck this guy wants. Whatever he wants. Guys, it's in this trailer. You can tell, unshackled from Konami, this guy is just going mad, and I love it. I love when people just get to do exactly what they want to do. But, like, I don't know. Let's start with you. I played Death Stranding. Kevin, I forget if you have.
I have not.
Okay, so I'm the only one here. Steve, you start here. I want to hear the people who have not played Death Stranding what they think of this.
Okay, this is where I admit that I pulled a Kevin, and I've only seen elements of the trailer because I kept skipping ahead because I did not play the first game yet, so I didn't want to see all the story elements. But everything I kept cropping up on was increasingly fucked up more than the last. We're in a ship, and this lady's walking us around, and our brother's waking up from a grave, and we're doing that for a few minutes.
Why were they black and white inside the ship? But then they
don't
weren't
know.
Black and white.
I thought you would know, and I didn't want to know. No, so I kept skipping ahead. I'm like, maybe they explained this in the first game. I don't want to know this.
Not at all. Nothing. Like 95% of what happens here, I have no idea what's going on. And I played the entire fucking game, like, what, a year and a half ago? I have no idea what's happening. No, I don't know why they were black and white. I don't.
I mean, this is great. I'll probably play Death Stranding 1 soon because now I kind of gotta, but I think we have time.
I think you will really enjoy it. Kevin, I'm not so sure.
Okay,
I think you would enjoy it.
I want to know why I'm known as the video tapper. I said I did that on the Suicide Squad video, and who fucking cares about that game? It's fine. Oh, why am I the video tapper? It's fine.
You are it now. You are it now.
Anyways, I had a lot of fun watching the trailer just for the pure spectacle of it. I'm not really interested in playing the first. I watched some reviews, and I think just gameplay wise, it didn't look that interesting to me. So I wasn't interested in playing that. I'm not interested in playing this, but just, yeah, the spectacle of this trailer, it was hard to turn away from. It's interesting for the purpose of watching the trailer.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of all it needs to be. That's kind of how I felt about the original Death Stranding trailers and shit. Do you like how they replaced the baby instead of doing the thumbs up? The ship came out of his fucking mouth. For what the hell was that?
I saw that too. I'm like, what the hell, guys?
What the hell, man? Okay, again, if I'm saying what the hell, then this is really out there, right? And I played the first. That guy came in with the mask and he took off his mask and then he was like shitty Alice Cooper. And he had a guitar.
Oh, when that guitar came out, that fucking bumped it up to 11.
Yeah, that's insane. He was playing like lightning guitar notes to zap dudes, and I like that the guitar is also an axe because get it? You can the axe is a nickname for a guitar. Holy shit, you're just doing everything, Kojima. Everything. Yeah. What the hot fuck did I just watch? I have no idea. But after the Death Stranding 2 thing, there's a presentation with him. And also, who's that Sony guy? It's not Jim Ryan anymore because he's gone, obviously. Who the fuck was that? I don't even know who that...
He used to be at... why am I blanking? The studio that does Horizon.
Oh, Gorilla?
Yeah, he was the lead there. I think he went internal at Sony a year or so ago.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I didn't really think about it since, yeah. Anyway, him and Hideo Kojima are standing there, and Kojima announces he's working with Sony on an espionage action game that will start as soon as Death Stranding 2 wraps. I don't know if they actually said the name of this game during the show, but Kojima later tweeted that it was called Physint. Physint. Physint, guys? Is that what we're going with?
Sure.
I mean, I guess it's just interesting that like the Xbox game he's making is just like, this is weird horror, I guess. And then the Sony game is just fucking Metal Gear. So I just, it's strange, guys. I don't know. You got any thoughts on, I mean, he's just doing spiritual Metal Gear. That's kind of wild.
Well, he's working on this. He's working on that thing we saw at the Game Awards for Microsoft. It's only going to be a few months before it turns out he's also working with Sakurai on an Ice Climbers game for the Switch next. And what a good time that's going to be. Papa, you gotta let me go! Never! Hey, I'm a bear. Ah! A Hideo Kojima production.
I would absolutely play mature rated Ice Climbers. I mean, for sure. There's no doubt, Kevin.
I would too. I'd be there with you.
Okay.
But my joke aside, they're remembering that Kojima Productions has the S in productions, and they're having multiple stuff going on at once. And I'm wondering if that can be maintained. I mean, I don't know if, I mean, it felt heavily implied to me that Sony was handing him giant sacks of money to, you know, make sure we hear from Agent Lucky Lizard in 2 years. It's me, Lucky Lizard. I need my marijuana blunts.
What the hell is going on?
Well, you can't have Solid Snake, so I don't know. You come up with a better you come up with a better agent in less than 2 hours before showtime.
I will never do that. Kevin, are you a Metal Gear person? I mean, we and Steve are not
it's way
really
too much stealth for me. I did think it was interesting. They really harped on the like film element being integrated with this. And I also thought it was interesting. He made a comment near the end of that discussion where he was like, I feel like this will be, I don't remember exactly what the phrasing is, but the effect of like, this will be the culmination of all of my like skills throughout my career or something. So that statement in itself seems like it's probably setting people up quite a bit for high expectations.
He's probably wanted to return to this genre for a while, though. Yeah.
See, for me, when he says that, and then it says it's going to be out in 2 years, that's where I start having my doubts.
Do you say it's going to be out in 2 years, or
I felt like that's what Sony said, or Kojima said. Okay. But either way, Konami does have a real ass Metal Gear Solid 3 remake coming, so there's going to be comparisons drawn.
There will. I mean, he's inviting them. He's calling it espionage action. So, you know.
I mean, I can't wait for it.
Good state of play. Excellent stuff. We got one more thing before we go, though. We want to play a game because we love playing games around here. And I guess we could call it Fake Ass Family Feud, but you guys are going to work together. Okay. This is going to be co-op. Okay, so here's the premise.
I like that.
All right. So here's the premise. I have a list of 12 items. You're going to trade off guesses, right? And in the words of Toad from Mario 3, miss twice and you're out. So you're going to try to get the 12 things on this list. And the things on this list. So
like miss twice between the two of us, or if one of us misses twice, we're out and the other keeps going?
Exactly. Yes. You can each miss twice. Okay?
Okie dokie.
So the NPD group, or whatever they're called nowadays, Circadia Rhythm, or whatever the fuck, what is it? Starts with a CIR something.
Umbrella Corporation
released the 12 best-selling games of last year. So I want you guys to name the top-selling games of 2023. So there's two caveats to this. One, this is not necessarily just games that came out in 2023. Just keep that in mind. These are just the top-selling games of 2023. They could have been released in 2022 or whatever, right? So that's one factor. Second factor, Nintendo does not report their digital sales to NPD or whatever they're called now. They only report their physical. So also keep that in mind. If you might want to say a Nintendo game, it may or may not reflect, what it actually sold, because Nintendo only self-reports their digital on their own shit. Okay. So with those two factors in mind, guys, we're going to try to get these 12 things Family Feud style. So if you get one right, you'll hear this sound. If you get one wrong, you'll hear this sound. All right. You like that one, Kevin?
Well, I'm going to feel bad when I hear it. It's pretty disappointed in me.
It's pretty bad, huh? So you don't want to hear that. All right. Do you guys? No, you'd probably. I would never guess if I didn't know where that's from. It's from a Namco game called Libble Rabble. It's on Arcade Archives if you want to.
I heard of it, but I obviously haven't played it.
It's made by Toru Iwatani, the guy who made Pac-Man. The music is by Nobuyuki Onagi, the guy who did Mappy, Metrocross, a bunch of other shit. Maybe not Metrocross, but tons of stuff for Namco. But he did this one. Can you tell? Because it fucking sounds like Pac-Man. So yeah. Anyway. All right, let's get started. I didn't even think about who's going to go first. Okay, Steve, go first. All right, top 12 selling games of 2023. What is one of the games on this list?
I have faith in Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom.
All right, let's see it. Is it on the board? It is. It's number 5, Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Probably would have been higher counting digital, right? But number 5 on this list. Okay, Kevin.
I remember hearing a story last year about how crazy it was, how many copies Elden Ring was continuing to sell last year. So because you made the statement that we're counting games from previous, I'm going to guess that is what covers Elden Ring.
All right, Elden Ring. Is it on the list? Top sells of 2023. It is not. Sorry. All right. Elden Ring did not make it. It has sold a lot. I did read that too, though. So that's a good guess. All right. Steve, back to you.
I would have guessed that if you didn't. But now I'm going to say, I'll go off year 2. Pokemon Scarlet Violet.
Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Top selling games 2023. Guys, you're killing me here. You both have one miss. No, that is not on. That is not on here. Okay, Kevin, come on. Let's keep this going. Let's easy one.
I don't know.
What always sells
I'm
every year.
Hoping you're going to be generous. Last year's Call of Duty entry.
Okay,
can I do that?
I will be generous. Okay, last year's Call of Duty entry was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, and that's on the list.
Okay.
At number 7. Okay. So go ahead, Steve. Next.
Are we still buying whatever we call Madden?
Yep. Madden NFL 24, number 3.
Oh,
2023.
It's back 2 years. Did we skip a year where we called it a year? Whatever.
Yeah, we called it like 25 one time because it was a 25th Madden game or something, and then we went back to years. So it's going to be awkward next year when we actually have Madden 25. So go ahead, Kevin.
I think Hogwarts Legacy sold like hotcakes last year. I'm sure that's on there.
Number 1 selling game of 2023 is Hogwarts Legacy.
Wow.
Yes. That is that. I mean, it beat COD. So, what can I say? Oops. Was that a hint, Steve?
It would be if he didn't say it already.
Well, no, he said Modern Warfare 2 from 2022.
Whatever the hell we called it last year then.
You can't pull that. Okay, fine. You get one of those two.
Well, see, that's what I was. I didn't know the one I said was 2022. I was just saying like last year's Call of Duty.
Family Feud pulls that shit all the time.
Okay, fine. There. Jeez.
Yeah, Steve Harvey gives the contestants quite a bit of rope here. So
fine. Okay. Modern Warfare 3, is number 2 selling of 2023. And it's significant because that's the first time COD is not like the top selling thing for a long time. Hogwarts Legacy beat it. So yeah. All right. What you got on here? What do you got left, Kevin?
I'm running into I'm having a hard time coming up with something I'm real confident in. I'm gonna say Super Mario Wonder, but I'm
you're not feeling great about it?
Not positive, no.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna peek under the curtain here. I'm gonna see if it's on the list. Let's see. Super Mario Brothers Wonder. It's there. It's number 12. Barely made it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I was going to say that if you didn't. So
yeah. So it's there. All right, Steve.
Fuck it. It probably didn't make it, but Street Fighter 6.
Street Fighter 6. Put it on the board. It did not. Okay, he's missed twice and you're out, Steve. Okay, Kevin, you got to carry the rest of these.
Oh, man.
Let's see.
How many do we have left?
We have 6 of them. So there's 6 left. Think big exclusives. Big exclusives.
Yeah, well, I'm leaning towards saying Final Fantasy 16, but I can't. Yeah, I have a hard time guessing that actually. Well, yeah, okay, Final Fantasy 16.
Did not make it. That's it. Okay. Well, I'll list them off 1 to 12 real quick. So Hogwarts Legacy, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Madden NFL 24, Marvel Spider-Man 2, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Diablo 4 was number 6. That surprised me. Yeah. Modern Warfare 2, you said that. Mortal Kombat 1 was number 8.
Really?
It was by far,
really? Yeah.
Casuals fucking love Mortal Kombat, guys. Yeah, more than Street Fighter or whatever. So, yeah. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, number 9. EA Sports FC 24. I forgot they lost FIFA, so they have to call it that. Number 11 was Starfield, and then 12 was Mario Wonder. So,
I am really fucking surprised about Starfield just given it being on Game Pass, because it seems like the people that would be really fucking jazzed about Starfield would have Game Pass.
Yeah, but it was the one. If it was the one Xbox game last year, that would be it. You know,
yeah.
You know. So
I wouldn't have thought that Xbox has sold enough consoles to get games on that list that are exclusives.
Me too. You know, that's why. Like, I'm not surprised to see Zelda and Mario, of course, even not counting digital, which is cutting their sales in half. So, I mean, imagine if they did count that. Jesus Christ, right? So,
I feel fucking stupid for not getting Diablo. If I would have thought of that was.
I thought for sure you guys would at least say Jedi Survivor. I understand if you didn't think of FIFA, maybe, but Spider-Man 2 is what I was trying to steer you towards.
Yeah. But I don't know. I didn't I wouldn't have guessed Jedi Survivor. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed it would have been that popular.
I wasn't guessing Final Fantasy 16 because I remember like a month later they said it undersold. We're not happy. Blah, 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 blah.
Well, Square Enix always says that about everything, so I don't really believe them. But no, I didn't really expect that to be up there. If I didn't see this list beforehand, I wouldn't have guessed Final Fantasy 16 personally.
That was a fun game. I always like doing sales numbers, so making it into a game is a hot idea.
Definitely, yeah. We'll have to find more lists of stuff to do Family Feud co-op on. I do like that.
Yeah, and I also like when I don't have Steve making me look like a dummy. So when we're working together, we both look like dummies if I'm bringing down the team.
Yeah, and I'm not putting you on the clock where I play that. They play the one hip hop beat, so that makes you nervous.
Oh yeah, that gets me rattled.
Okay. All right, guys, we're getting the fuck out of here. We had a lot of fun. We'll be back in a couple weeks to talk about a lot more video game stuff. Check the description of this podcast to find our socials and connect with us there, especially on Twitter at Fine Time Podcast. See you next time. Bye.
You've been listening